Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and this is a video about the Aries New Moon of 2020. This new moon has already occurred. I'm intentionally recording this video a bit after the fact. This new moon occurred on April 24th, 2020 at 5:28 a.m. in Miami, Florida. If you're on the East Coast of the United States, please use a time zone converter to find your local time. Um, and I intentionally recorded this video after the fact as there were so many developing changes that were quick moving as we rode into this new moon, which is par for the course given some of this new moon's energies, which we'll get into in a second. But I just wanted to make sure that I spoke accurately to what was going on the world stage and what you might be experiencing in your personal life before I put the video out. That being said, I also want to go ahead and caveat this new moon by saying these are difficult times. Many of you are aware of this. You're seeing this in your own life. Not only are you seeing this in your own life, you're seeing this on the world stage with the spread of the coronavirus and the social isolation and distancing that are being provided as remedies to slow or stop the spread of the virus. And I just want to acknowledge that in difficult times, we tend to often look for symbols of hope or symbols of, um, signs that things can get better. And in this particular chart with this new moon, I want to acknowledge that while some of those symbols are there, I will also acknowledge that they're not there in excess at this time. And I've covered this in previous new and full moon videos that this isn't a time, 2020, of looking outside of ourselves to the stars, to some outside hero or savior. This isn't a time of looking outside of ourselves for the hope that the divine has already placed in our hands. And so I want, as we're doing this particular new moon video and I'm creating this particular caveat, I will say that I read the comments on my videos. I don't always respond back in the interest of time and um, energy. It's always a choice where I'm going to lay my resources, just as it's a choice for you where you'll lay yours. I will say that I've seen the criticism and the flack about not providing hope from the stars. And I just want to acknowledge that, this is a moment where, yeah, we're all looking for that. We'd all love some form of hope at this time. And simultaneously, I will also acknowledge that I don't read that way. My core beliefs around astrology are such that I acknowledge that the stars have influence, but it is us that has the final say. We live lives that are both fate and free will, with free will being the trump card. And that if we are looking for hope in these darkest of times and most challenging of times, we need look no further than the mirror or at our own hands. These times, and this particular new moon being the first astrological new moon of the entire year, are asking us, with our own free will, if we are looking for hope, are we going to do more Netflixing today, or are we going to get up and learn how to make masks for nurses and, healthcare workers who are on the front line at this time? And are we going to help them and show us and the rest of the world that hope lives in our hands? Are we going to despair at more headlines today and get paralyzed by our fear, or are we going to find a way to send care packages to people who really need them? Are we going to allow fear to run our show, or are we going to take the information we do have and decide that today is the day that we will rise? This chart, more than any that I've seen so far, and the preceding charts leading up to this moment, and you've heard me say this in previous new and full moon videos, this chart and this year, 2020, is a year where the divine is asking us, who are we? Who are you? Who are you in the face of such heartbreak and challenge and sickness and separation? Who are you? Who are you going to choose to be? Free will has the trump card. And so if you are listening, and hanging on to the videos that I provide for, a destined moment in the stars or in the future where the stars will say, and this will all be made right by this date, and things will all come round by this date, and on this date, things will all get better. I very humbly ask you to unsubscribe from my channel because I just don't read that way. I respect that that is something that we all need at this time. I have my sources for that in my own world, but I also recognize that that's not the service that the divine has tasked me with providing. The way my gift operates and the way I have been given to see the stars is one where I tell you what is so, and out of that, I provide the choices that your free will gives you as a complete reflection of the divine created in the image of the Creator. And so rather than spending your precious resources of time and energy at this moment in the comments telling me how not hopeful I am being for you, I just ask that you give yourself what you need, both in the peace and love and the harmony that is so easily accessible by simply unsubscribing and finding the readers who can provide that for you. YouTube has a bit of everything for everyone. And if this isn't it, peace be unto you as you find it, sister or brother. Thank you. Let's get into this Aries new moon, shall we? This new moon took place, I should say, here at this 4th degree of Aries, sitting directly opposite the shaman's asteroid here in the sign of partnership. This new moon was also sitting conjunct Chiron and Lilith, giving it a very unique signature. When you put all 3 of these together in a singular conversation, which they are, that brings this new moon a signature of healing, but also looking for the healing that we're going to do in our own way. Lilith's energy brings forward the signature of recognizing where we are being shortchanged, where we are not getting what we want or what we need, and out of respect for ourselves, saying rather than having these things that really don't work for me, I'll take my chances in the wilderness. I'll take my chances with nothing. I choose me over getting shortchanged in these ways. And Chiron, the healer, also being a part of this new moon's configuration in the sign of the self, Aries, is saying, you know what? I'm going to heal myself in the ways that I see fit. The shaman's asteroid, being right opposite these energies here, is providing this additional storyline with this new moon. The shaman's asteroid is all about going on a very long journey and a very challenging quest, whereby what we're doing is going out into the world to test our mettle, see what we're made of, and bring back wisdom for our tribes, respectively, individual tribes. And once we bring that wisdom back, then providing all of the know how, all of the knowledge that we found on our quest, taking it amongst ourselves to sequester ourselves and really study what that wisdom is giving us. Really study, okay, I went on this long journey and now I'm going to sit still. I'm going to sit still. And interestingly, among the Rapa Nui people, where the legend of the shaman actually comes from, that shaman sits still for an entire year in meditation, bringing the visions that it was received back to the tribe so that the tribe can flourish and thrive. And this new moon is bringing forward the signature of it is time to sit still by ourselves and with ourselves to really see what is it that has to change in order that the tribe can survive. What is it within us that we need to shift, that those that we are connected to in our worlds, what is it that we need to shift within us that allows the rest, that's for the greater good of everyone that we're connected to? And so for some of us, this time of social isolation, social distancing, is bringing forward a level of unprecedented self-meditation because our normal distractions are unavailable to us. Can we go out and shop? No. Can we go to work and distract ourselves? No. Can we distract ourselves with all of our children's after school activities and running to and fro, picking them up and dropping them off? No. Can we distract ourselves with whatever else, our necessities in life that we overpile and overdo in order to distract ourselves from the truth about who we are? Can we do that? Not at this time. And so in this period of time, we are given unto us is the opportunity to look ourselves in the mirror, because again, this new moon is happening in the sign of the self, Aries. We're giving the opportunity to look at ourselves in the mirror and find out who exactly have we been, and is that serving ourselves and our tribe? And if it's not, if we're hurting ourselves or hurting others, how can we change for the better? How can we leave behind what we've previously been doing that has actually not really served us or served other people particularly well? How can we leave that behind and carve out a better path forward? That's the overall energy of this new moon. In addition, this new moon is squaring the south node and the north node. And when you've got an energy like this of a square to the nodes, squares and oppositions tend to bring about more compromised energies, whereas trines and sextiles and conjunctions can bring about energies that are far more harmonious. With a square to the nodes, and the nodes sitting in the sign of structure, work ethic, that's Capricorn, south node, north node sitting in emotional truths, emotional integrity, and family, that's north node, Cancer. We're really being given a hard look in the mirror about who we are at this time. The harsh truth here is, and this is both, a gift and something that's difficult to swallow, is that given the circumstance at hand, we have no one to blame but ourselves. And given the circumstances at hand, if we have no one to blame but ourselves, it lives in our hands. It's 100% fixable by us today. It's 100% turnaroundable by us today. Like, we can actually do something about this. We can make this 100% different. And that's the gift of this, because the shaman's asteroid sitting right opposite this new moon is saying, if you work together in partnership, you have the opportunity to turn this around. It's 100% possible to do a 180 on this. This does not have to stay the way it is. And this not only goes for what's happening in the world at large, this also goes for what you're seeing a dissatisfaction with in your own individual life. If you're not happy in, and this is, I mean, for many of you, and there's been a lot of jokes about this on the internet, but highlighted at this time are our one-to-one relationships. You know, there's a lot of jokes on the internet. Are there going to be more divorces by the time we're done with this, or more babies by the time we're done with this? I mean, if you're not happy in your marriage, this is the moment when you're being asked, are you going to fix it? What are you going to do to fix it? To step into a new energy. You can't run from what it is at this point in time. The mirror is lit up in fire right now. Aries is a fire sign. The mirror for our relationships is unignorable at this time. Libra is all about relationships. Who we are and what we are is being mirrored back to us in our relationships in such a way that we cannot ignore it any longer. I mean, and this is very plain in our international relationships at this time, the way we are either choosing to work together or not. In our governmental relationships at this time, the way we're choosing to work together or not. In our one-to-one relationships at this time, the way we're choosing to work together or not. This is a time where all of our relationships, for good or for ill, they're getting exposed. What they are and what they're not. And who we are within them and who we are not. Have we been giving to them? Have we been generous in them? Have we been kind? Have we taken them for granted? Have we looked out only for ourselves? Have we been in the process of being negligent with another person's time, another person's resources, another person's money and energy? Have we been negligent with our own? Have we compromised our boundaries and our structures? Have we been emotionally untrue to ourselves or to another? This particular moment in time is lighting up the truth in a very unignorable way so that you can take action. That's Aries. Take initiative, new moon, to change and to heal what's going on now for the rest of the year. All right, so that's the overarching energy of this new moon. It's a real gift if you're willing to be truthful with yourself. If you're trying to still run the pattern of escapism or run the pattern of ignoring who you are and where you're at with your relationships or with the structures of your life or with the emotional integrity of your life, this is a moment where, I mean, the karma of that is going to compound itself this year. This is a year where lying to ourselves or to others about what a circumstance is going to bite us in the butt. So just keep that in mind, because this Aries new moon is the signature of all of 2020's astrological energy. This is the first new moon of the astrological new year. So therefore, it is the underlying energy of the entire new year. This is the year of radical honesty, and that radical honesty setting us all free. Can we change the circumstances at hand? Yes. Did we get ourselves into the mess that we are in? Yes. By working together, can we get out of it? Abso-freaking-lutely. But this doesn't happen by pointing the finger at the stars and saying, well, when this changes, everything's going to be different. Or when that changes, when this person changes, then my marriage will work. Or when this happens, then, when my kids go back to school, then I won't have to think about that learning challenge or learning issue that I can see my one child has. No, this is the year of facing up to what's really going on in our lives. And this moment in time is the moment of facing it. There's some other interesting energies here. This Uranus at the 4th degree of Taurus, right out in front of that new moon, that Uranus and new moon having sort of a conversation, but not truly, not yet. Uranus is trining this Capricorn south node and sextiling the Cancer north node here. And it's also sextiling this Mercury at this time. This is bringing forward a little bit of an energy of, again, Mercury being mind, Uranus being divine insight. It's bringing forward these lightning bolt truths that we cannot ignore about the structure of our lives and our families. These are some things that we need to look at. How have we contributed to the circumstance at hand? We're getting some real wake-up calls during this period of time if we're willing to just stop running and look in the mirror. In addition to this, we've also got this, what do we have? Neptune sextile Venus. So here's Neptune at the 18th degree of Pisces. Here's Venus at this new moon at the 20th degree of Taurus. And then we've got Ceres square Venus. And where's this Ceres at 20 degrees Aquarius? There's a bit of a closing of a cycle here. Ceres being, the mother of Persephone and also the harvester. She showed humans how to plant and how to harvest in agrarian cultures so that people didn't have to be hunter-gatherers. We could be agrarian people. That was Ceres or Persephone in the mythology. Ceres here at the 20th degree of Aquarius, having a sextiling conversation with Venus in Taurus. Venus in Taurus is all about nurturing and taking care of the body and really nurturing our own physical worlds. And so Ceres here is really, in Aquarius saying, how can we close out any cycles that have compromised our ability to grow? Neptune here is bringing a higher spiritual perspective to all of this because they're sitting in harmonious signs. Neptune here is saying, with this Taurus is saying, I see there are some ways that I can take better care of myself, better care of my body, better care of the people around me, better care of my home. How can I take better care, not just for the physical world reasons, but also for the spiritual reasons of wanting to be in a higher place than the one that I'm in, wanting to quantum leap in this moment, wanting to grow. That's a real gift to be able to have that energy in the sky at such a challenging moment in time. We've also got Mars here at the 25th degree of Capricorn, conjunct Chariklo here at, that 28th degree of Capricorn. And we've also got Saturn here at 0 degrees Aquarius, these three kind of working together. Mars conjunct Saturn is not a very kind or easy energy, especially when Pluto's involved. And Pluto's definitely involved here at the 24th degree and Jupiter here at the 23rd degree of Capricorn. When you look back astrologically at the history of time when Mars, Saturn, and Pluto have a conversation, you're typically talking about outbreaks of war, outbreaks of pandemics, which we're seeing, crashes of the economy, which you're seeing, globally, not just in one country. These are all par for the course when these three come into conversation with one another, either by conjunction, square, or opposition. Interestingly enough, you also see mass deaths and or suicides when these three come into difficult configuration together. Luckily, knock wood, prayerfully, people's mental health is being taken care of. There are a lot of mental health workers who are volunteering to support people in this time of crisis via hotlines and outreach and Facebook groups, etc. If you need mental health support, definitely get it. It's here. Planet Earth is rallying at this time to provide us all with someone to talk to, someone to support us through these difficult moments. People are stepping up. However, be aware that these energies are not easy. They are radically meant to cause endings, meant to radically shift energies, meant to radically provide change, so that in these next coming years, the structures that we've had in Capricorn that have caused the compromise of so many people on planet Earth, so much of the animals, so much of the environment, some of these structures are starting to come crumbling down. What happens next is actually a really beautiful rebuild that is by the people, for the people. That's the sign of Aquarius. But this particular moment of transition at the tail end of Capricorn with Pluto, Lord of the Underworld, Mars, God of War, we've got Saturn here. The destroyer in the name of integrity, the separator in the name of integrity. When these three come together in this way, it just portends a ton of endings of a certain lifestyle and structural way of going on planet Earth, that now it's time to change. So, all of this energy here is, a lot of astrologers have talked about it. For those of you who have asked me, hey, are you going to talk about the coronavirus astrologically? I did take a vote on my channel in the community section a while back. I asked people, do you want me to do some sort of video about this? 60% of the people said, no, I really don't. 61% were like, just stay focused on what you're doing. I'll go get that information elsewhere. So, for those of you who have wanted this kind of information, I've provided a list of some of the best astrological insight about the coronavirus and these change in economic times. That list is in a playlist on my channel. You can find it if you just look under the playlists of all of the best astrology and some of the best astrologers on YouTube providing insight about this and how all of this works. So, have a look at that playlist if you are interested. But just know that all of us in the astrological community are aware that this configuration is portending significant endings and will be for the remainder of 2020. What comes after this is a very beautiful renewal for planet Earth that is based on quite a bit of Aquarius energy. Aquarius out here is the sign of leadership by the people, for the people, from the people. It's a sign of the revolution and new technology, new energies coming into the planet Earth directly from the divine. But in order for us to get to that place of newness, we do have to close out the current cycle. This configuration that you're seeing here is Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, Mars. Some of these conjunctions that you are seeing, and these astrologers in that playlist will talk about, haven't been seen on planet Earth in 500 years. They haven't been seen on planet Earth in over 100 years, some of these configurations. And so these structures that are coming to an end, this is not a comfortable ending, but yes, is there a new day after this? Absolutely. But endings are endings. They don't always feel good. And that's just a fact of what endings are. The one thing in this configuration I will say is very helpful and very hopeful as a signature here is this Chariklo. This Chariklo has been hanging out at the end of the sign of Capricorn for some time now, a couple of years actually. And Chariklo in the astrology represents the divine intercessor. In the mythology, she was the handmaiden to Athena, goddess of war. And the gods of Mount Olympus only really had a few rules. One of them was don't look at us naked. You look at us naked, you'll lose your sight. Well, that was one of Athena's rules, and she made sure everyone understood it. She went to go bathe one day at the foot of a river, the edge of a river. She took her handmaiden Chariklo with her. Chariklo's standing on the edge, holding her clothes. Athena's bathing in the water. Across the river, there's a young man. The young man happens to notice, oh, there's ladies bathing in the river while he's fishing. He looks up. He sees the naked goddess. The naked goddess strikes him blind. Chariklo realizes in that moment, oh my gosh, that's my son. My son's a hunter. How can he possibly hunt without his sight? And so she intercedes. She begs Athena, please, my son knows who I am, knows who you are, would not have looked upon you naked had he known it was you. It was an accident. Please, please, please restore my son's sight. Athena thinks upon this. She recognizes Chariklo's faithful and dutiful service, and she says, no, I will not return your son's human eyes, but I will give him the ability to see without sight. And from that moment forward, her son's life was forever changed as he became a psychic seer. Was the divine intercession successful? Yes. Did he get his sight back? No. Did he get back something better than he could have previously had or imagined? Absolutely. And this is what Chariklo is providing at this time, as this year she dances with Saturn. Last year she danced all year with Pluto. And this was simply about making your prayers to whatever God you believe in, as the Lord of the underworld took from your life that which could never come back. This year with Saturn in her dance, she's dancing with Saturn all year. Saturn is about restoration of integrity and restoration of integrity by separating ourselves from things that compromise our ability to be whole. In our dance with Saturn, in Chariklo's dance with Saturn this year, she is saying that which you separate yourself because it is compromising you, that which you separate yourself from because it compromises your ability to be whole, healthy, healed. Chariklo will restore to you that which was taken from you when you are willing to do the work of providing integrity via separation. Now, some of you already know that this is probably going to mean, that job that may have gone by the wayside in the last few weeks, or you can see the writing on the wall for it, it's compromising your ability to be whole. And Chariklo will intercede on your behalf to bring you better than what you've had. But that better doesn't come without the separation first. Again, nodes in the sign of structure and emotional integrity. Where have you been compromised? In the world of work, in the world of family, in the world of relationship, where have you been allowing compromise to undermine your integrity, your wholeness? When you separate from these things, Chariklo is saying, I will intercede on your behalf with the divine to give you back something better than what you previously had. That's the energy here. She's dancing with Saturn all year. These endings will be in waves all year. Know that because this is the new moon of the entire year, this is an energy that is following us all year long. And it's very important to understand that Saturn here is just looking for our integrity. It's looking for wholeness. It's looking for us. If you think about a three-legged table, you chop one leg, that table no longer has structural integrity. It cannot perform as it's meant to perform. When you look in the mirror at your life at this time, Saturn is asking you, what is compromising your integrity to be best you, to live best life, to honor the gifts and the riches divine placed inside you as a mirror of the divine? Anything that's compromising that is being asked to be brought to an ending this year, either by your hand or the divine's. It will close. It is best to honor that the divine wants to bring you better and not hold or cling, and allow these things to come to completion and seek better as the divine is trying to give it to you. Okay? Let's see. Is there anything else? We've got Mercury trine the North Node, sextile South Node. We've talked about this. This is insight about the endings. Knowing consciously what it is, no longer having it lurk out of your peripheral vision. It's now right in the front view. There is a very big rebirthing coming. Once Saturn is fully into the sign of Aquarius, Pluto is fully into the sign of Aquarius. That happens in a few years' time. Jupiter fully into the sign of Aquarius. That happens at the end of this year. And Saturn gets there at the end of this year. Once all of this is in the sign of Aquarius, which, over the next several years will have a full anchoring into the energy of Aquarius, there will be a really big rebirth for humanity after these times come to a close. And what's interesting about this is that the main personal planet out here, or not even personal planet, but the main traditional planet out here in the front, really leading the way, is Venus. Venus is the planet that represents love and value. And this lets us know that love is really leading the way forward for us, but sometimes love will do the hard thing. There's a saying, that people have who follow the Christian faith. They say sometimes God will break your heart to save your soul. And some of the things that are coming to completion right now are very heartbreaking. And with this Venus out front, there is a bit of a heartbreaking energy here because that's exactly what's going on. There is a bit of a heartbreak here as illusions crumble in our lives about how safe we all thought we were, or how secure we all thought certain things in our lives might be. The heartbreak is really real, and where there is grief, where there is sadness, let yourself grieve. But know that with love here leading the way into the new era, what's coming next is going to be so much better than that which we have lost. Okay, so all I was saying is that what's coming next is going to be so much better than that which we have lost. Know that there's clarity coming, that there is definitely good things coming, but it's coming by our own willingness to allow ourselves to face the truth and close out cycles around things that just no longer serve us. And doing that with our own hand, given that this is the Aries New Moon, doing that with our own hand is something that is going to allow the healing that's inherent in this new moon. Doing that with our own hand is going to allow that healing to come forward. Okay? It's going to allow Cheroklo to step in and say, I see you working for your integrity. Allow me to assist you. Allow me to support you. All of that being said, if you're curious about how this all is playing out in your own life, if, this is a time to, how this energy here, this ending energy as Capricorn is playing out, now's a great time to get a personal reading with me. If you email me at chrysalismoon@gmail.com, Um, the autoresponder will come to you explaining how to book a personal reading so we can look at how you can play with these energies over the course of 2020. And we can also have a look at, specifically with this Jupiter meeting Pluto, where the ego death is for all of us and for you in particular, and what it is you want to give up with humility this year so that you can get that blessing that comes with saying, okay, I'm done fighting with what the universe has been trying to show me. I am more than now willing to give this up. Where is my blessing at? You want to look at the house that occurs in and what personal planets in your natal chart that this ending is speaking to. We can have a conversation about how to work with these energies so you can get the best from them. One of the hardest and double heartbreak things that I see in my work is when people resist where the energy is telling them to go, just bringing more calamity on already difficult situations. When we stop resisting the invitations of the universe, we start to get the blessings that the universe is trying to provide by allowing us to grow toward our individual north nodes. And for many of us, that's what this time is about. It's a pruning, as many of you know, in the garden. You prune hedges, you prune trees, you prune bushes so that they can grow more fruitfully. And this is a time of a great pruning for all of us here on planet Earth. And where this pruning is occurring in your life, if you can go about it willingly, that is how you get the blossoms in the springtime of life when the springtime comes. So again, if you want to have a look at how all of this is playing out, email me at chrysalismoon@gmail.com, KRYSALISMOON@gmail.com. And I will go ahead and send you that autoresponder. I tend to respond to everyone personally within a matter of days, if not the same day, to make sure that you got it and it didn't go to spam. And if you'd like to go ahead and book a personal reading, those readings are available for mid to end of April at this point. I'd be honored to read for you. Take great care. Take great care of one another. Be kind to yourself if you're having a hard time, and please be kind to your neighbors. And definitely take the time, if you can, to do a new thing. Take a risk. Try something that you haven't tried before in the name of your growth and the vision that you've been given for your life. Trust that the divine will catch you if you take a step on faith. It will, but it starts with your hands first. That's where hope lives. I love you all so much. I thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing. And I look to see how all this resonates for you in the comments below. And if it doesn't, by all means, you are welcome to unsubscribe. And I'll see you in the comments. Take great care. Bye for now.